Thank you, Dr. Henry. All right, with that, I'll go ahead and introduce our panel. We have some wonderful experts here on campus about resources. They work tirelessly to support students on campus. So I will start with Santi Azell, who's the Director of Health Promotion and Wellness. We also have Karen Schmidt from the Writing Center.
full service. You can come in ready to create your poster, sit down and work with one of us to create your poster, and then fill out that request and send it to be printed all in one shop. So that's beneficial. In addition, we have 7 3D printers in operation right now. We have different people across campus who, depending on their majors, will come in and create items that they need for their presentations. Architecture will come in and create different pieces for buildings, trees, cars, whatever, for their models. Interior design will come in and create furniture for models that they are doing. We work with them. We teach a Tinkercad class software to teach people who don't know how to use these programs, how to use it, and then bring them upstairs and show them how to implement that in person with the 3D printers. We also have a lot of stuff just for fun in the DMC. And if you're stressed out, need a little relief, I would encourage you to come explore and see what you can do. We have a full VR laboratory that is free to use. We have seven stations set up. If there's nobody using it, you are more than welcome. Just walk in and start playing games. And we have a lot of games. Some of them are educational, a lot of them are fun. So we host classes in there as well. We have an entire makerspace, so you can come in, use our Glowforge, use our Cricut, use our Solo machine, make buttons, make some t-shirts, just different ways to really express your creativity. And we find that a lot of times students will find ways to incorporate these elements as well into their posters or into their presentations. So again, we are happy to serve all of campus. That's what we're here for. Encourage you to come by at any point and just visit and check it out. If you have any questions, grab a staff member and we'll be happy to help.
Hi, I'm Katie Corbin. I'm the Associate Director for Career Services and Programs, which is a really fancy way of saying that I'm over the student-facing side of our Career Center. We mainly help students prepare for job search. And so we do this in a number of different ways. We also have multiple career fairs every semester that some are major specific, some are all majors. We have 3 different locations on campus. Our main location is the 3rd floor of Montgomery Hall. And then we have 2 satellite locations, one in Bowen Hall, which is for our co-op and internship office, which mainly focuses with our engineering students on campus. And then we have one I'm sorry, I missaid that. Bowen Hall is our political policy satellite office. They mainly focus on the Washington internship program. And then we have McCain Hall, which is our co-op and internship office. It is very hidden in that hall. You need to go up the back elevator. When you go up the elevator, you literally walk directly into this very hidden hallway, and they are around the corner. But if you are an engineering student, they can help you out with co-op and internship, but also with job search processes. Our 2 career advisors over there work with engineering. We do all of our programs around the NACE competencies. So NACE is our professional association, the National Association for College and Employers, for colleges and employers. And so all of our programs kind of revolve around learning outcomes that come from that national organization. We have a lot of services that students can use, including graduate students. You can meet with a career advisor. Our career advisors are college specific, like I mentioned before. You can schedule an in-person or online session with them just to talk about whatever stage of your career search process you're in. Typically, one of our main services is resume critique. So if you want somebody to look at your resume and give you some feedback on like how to improve it. We have drop-in hours in Montgomery Hall from 9 to 4 p.m. every day, where ultimately like another student will review your resume for a first-time critique. And then if you want more in-depth questioning, you can come and talk to your career advisor about that. We also offer career assessments, being that graduate students, I feel like, are like a little bit further along in their journey, academic journey. Usually you know what you want to do with with your degree or what you're going into it for. But we do have career assessments for those who feel like they might just, I have had students that just want to take it just to make sure in a way. I feel like grad school might be a little late for that, but it's still there just to like almost like secure yourself in the decision you've made, personality and skill set wise. We offer a online platform called Connections. Every Mississippi State student, including graduate students, all have access and an account in Connections. In this, that's one where you can schedule your appointments with your career advisor, but it's also where you can upload your resume, sign up for interviews, learn who's coming to our career fairs. Literally all of the stuff that we do in our office is through our Connection portal. So if you become like a frequent user of it, you'll be very well versed in what's going on in the Career Center every week. We have workshops that we do different topics on. So like, for instance, I have a workshop on Wednesday night about preparing for graduate school. So what you do to, start the application process and kind of follow that through. And so we offer different things on that. We offer mock interviews. We offer sessions on how to like set up your LinkedIn. And so anything, when you think of the career search process, anything that has to do with getting you ready to search for a job or to apply for a job, that's what the Career Center does. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I am Michael Carroll. I'll be representing the Graduate Student Association today. Our association really is an association for graduate students, run by graduate students. And I see one of our main objectives as making your graduate experience here as the most enjoyable as possible, as well as connecting you with fellow graduate students. So we have monthly meetings every third Thursday of the month, 6 p.m. The location does tend to vary a little bit. But if you look on our social media, we have Twitter, X, Instagram, and now LinkedIn, or look on Cowbell Connect to join our page. You can find all the information about where we will be meeting. At our general body meetings, you will find out about all of the events we are hosting upcoming and maybe a recap of events we've done. And then I like that we try to bring in at least one new resource every month to come and talk to you. So similar to this panel, you have 5 more good resources available on campus, but every monthly meeting we'll try and expose you to another resource on campus that you might not know about. And then we host a lot of social events as well to try and connect you and network with your fellow graduate student. These are people that you'll likely be working with in the future, or at least the remainder of your time here on campus. And it's good to get to know them, make friends in graduate school, especially if you move from far away and aren't from Starkville. Making friends in graduate school is a really hard experience for a lot of us. You're no longer a freshman being forced to do icebreakers in your orientation class. So taking the opportunity to get out there and meet graduate students who are in a similar situation as yourself, it's been really helpful to me. We also offer development events such as professional headshots and our graduate research symposium, which is coming up. Deadlines close October 9th, I believe, for registration. So please go on Cowbell Connect and register for that. If you want an opportunity to practice presenting your research before you take it to conference, or even if you're not taking it to conference and you want an opportunity to present it, we do offer awards for the winners. And it's a great opportunity, again, to meet fellow graduate students and practice your public speaking skills and research skills. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or contact us via Cowbell Connect. We are, I guess, technically located in the graduate office on the 6th floor of Allen Hall. However, we tend to move around and the officer team is all spread out. So digital contact is typically best for us. Thank you.
This would be a little bit different because I'm going to just be introducing myself. Hello, everybody. Like the Writing Center, well, actually, we're very much of a sister program with the Writing Center. You guys help with putting the ideas on paper, making that sound good. And the speaking center helps you with expressing those ideas and making you sound the best that you can and be the best that you can while up in front of a group of people. There's one thing that's going to be kind of a relative constant with graduate students. You're going to be asked to stand up and present your ideas. Some of you are going to want to go into teaching, and some of you are going to go off into professional careers that are going to ask you to get up in front of people and, again, present your ideas. And that's where we come in. Or let me rephrase that. That's where I come in. I am the person you will be meeting with. I am the only graduate coordinator we have at the Speaking Center. It is a full service center, but I will just kind of run you through some of the benefits that I can at least provide you with. The first disclaimer, I don't know chemistry. I don't know engineering. I don't know a lot of things that are outside of communication. But my claim to fame is I don't have to understand your subject area to help you make it sound good and make you look as good as you could, as good as you can while you're up there presenting. So what do I offer? What can we offer you at the Speaking Center? Well, it's one-on-one appointments. It's usually me and you meeting from anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, and I've held to up to an hour and a half to 2 hour long meetings, just depending on whatever your need is. We want to help you get ready for any conferences that you have coming up, any teaching evaluations that you might have, anything that would require you to get up in front of a room full of people and speak. So we offer you a lot. Let me run you through some of the basic services though. If you have communication apprehension, if you are a very anxious person, we can provide you with a lot of helpful tips, tricks, and strategies to help you nip that in the bud so you can get up there and be your best self in front of the room. We can help you with organizing your content, structuring it in a way that it sounds the best, that it reaches the most amount of people. We can help you with just your basic delivery. Stop saying ums and uhs, or making more eye contact, gesturing more, showing signs of life behind the podium. We can offer you a lot that deals with public speaking. So if you want to find us, you can Google the Speaking Center at MSU and we'll pop up. We share the same exact software that the Writing Center does, same booking software. And what you will see is you'll see my email address on there. All you have to do is reach out to me via email and I will happily sit down with you and have this appointment. I do have to make one disclaimer though. I'll give you our location. We are 3290 Old Main. So you go to the very top floor of Old Main and we're tucked in the back corner. But if you are a graduate student and you're going to book an appointment, you'll be meeting with me over in my office at McComas Hall. That is 200G McComas Hall.
Thank you all so much. I always am fascinated by how many resources are available to students to really help all students succeed in whatever kind of area. Is it, even if it's just mental health and wellness, if it's grad students networking together, writing, we all know writing and speaking is a big part of graduate school, and also printing and workshops. And who doesn't like a little bit of fun when you're playing VR? Is it? Yes, VR. My nephew has taught me a little bit about it, but I'm still learning. So I've prepared a few questions. If the audience also would like to think about a few questions to ask as well, we'll open it up in just a few minutes. But one of my questions to the panel is, what is the most common question that you receive from graduate students specifically? Is there something that has come up multiple times where you think, well, this is something that is a very common question from graduate students? And we'll just do it. Whoever would like to speak first is open floor.
We get, can you proofread my thesis a lot? And I hate to say no, because I don't ever want to say no. But if you can imagine, you've been working on it for a year, we can't fix it in an hour, right? Can we help you with the writing in your thesis? Yes. Come early and schedule a few appointments so that the consultant can be prepared for your document, and we can come to an agreement about what we can help you with. But if you needed an editor or something more specific like that, you'll need to ask us for where you can find that outside of the Writing Center.
I will piggyback off that answer to say that the Office of Thesis and Dissertation is here in the library, and they are very happy to work with the graduate students on their theses. The number one question I think that we get is, can you do one-on-one consultations? They seem to think that we're focused only on the workshops in general. And while that is a big part of it, and we do offer several workshops a week, the rest of our time is dedicated to helping students. So, whether that be, like I said earlier, in person or over WebEx or Zoom, we are more than happy to work with them in whatever capacity they need.
In terms of the Career Center, most of the time, the main question that graduate students ask is, how can I find a job in my area? And the clarifying answer that we typically give to students is that you're the expert in whatever area that you've decided to go into graduate school for. So we tell students, like, make sure that you're involved in your national organizations because there will be jobs posted there. Make sure you know the terminology of the jobs that you're looking for, especially if you're in a very specified group. What we do at the Career Center is help you get everything ready to apply for those jobs. So we can definitely give you resources on like where to search and things of that nature. But if your area is so specialized that like you really need to know that you got to go to this national organization's job board to find to find jobs that align with what you're wanting to do with your graduate degree, that's the best piece of advice we can give you. We can definitely help you with your resume. We can help you prepare for the interview with questions. All of those preparation pieces, the Career Center is the expert at. And so we really have to try to make students aware, yes, we have job boards. Yes, we can kind of direct you to where job boards are generally, on the internet. But overall, if you're looking for something very specialized, you kind of have to come with that information when working with us.
I mean, we get asked a lot of questions at the Speaking Center, such as, we didn't know you existed. Where can we find you? 3290 Old Main, or you can come meet with me in 200G. But I'd say the most common question that we get is, what exactly can you help us with? And yes, I understand that, like a conference presentation, that's broad, or a teaching evaluation, that's broad as well. Really, I can help you with any part of that public speaking process. It can be, helping you generate ideas, figuring out, basic brainstorming. Where can we go with this? I can help you with that. But by and large, I would say the biggest question is, it always revolves around being nervous and how do I get better at being, not being nervous in front of people. And the big answer I can give you there is, well, you never stop being nervous, but you can definitely handle it better. We can always teach you how to handle that better. If you do book appointments and you want to get help with anxiety, just know it's going to take some time. We can't do that overnight. And I'd like to echo one thing the Writing Center says is, if you have ideas on paper, I'm going to treat you as the expert. Like I said, I don't know biology, I don't know chemistry or engineering. So I can't get your presentation ready in one day either. So usually just expect to book a few appointments. That'd be the general question I think we get asked the most.
I would say we don't get asked a specific question very much over and over, but oftentimes graduate students come up to the exec board or department representatives at meetings and other events asking all sorts of questions. Where do I live next year? How do I get a driver's license in the new country? And a lot of times they're asking about resources here on campus as well. So we try and direct them to you guys and other resources on campus. First, by asking other graduate students. I know last year was my first year as a graduate student, and a lot of times I would go to GSA events when I had a question about something, and one student directed me to the Writing Center. I used that last year. So really coming and asking your peers, especially the ones who have been here for a few years, they know the resources that are available, and they're often more than willing to help a younger graduate student who is unaware. So I think that's the best part of our organization is if it's any question, somebody in it knows the answer to it.
And I guess for us, I'll echo the same sentiments. We don't have graduate students that ask specific common questions, but I know what we've done, especially working with the Graduate Student Association and graduate school, is trying to make sure that we best serve our graduate students. Oftentimes, they may forget what does it look like for work-life balance? What is time management? What is a sense of belonging? How are you navigating your health and well-being? And the unique thing about health promotion and wellness is that we're under University Health Services. So we are with the longest student health center, and also we're with student counseling services. Graduate students, those services are free, absolutely free, and you can utilize all of them. Another piece of that for the health center, only x-rays and lab work costs. Everything else is free. Also knowing with student counseling services, you get that free as well. And so for us, we're trying to provide a holistic approach to health and well-being and trying to get our students involved in that. And another piece is what we do is free, so nothing costs. And so when we try to provide those experiences, we want to hear from graduate students. What do you want to see? What do you not like? How can we reach you? What does it mean to be a first generation college student? And we, try to make sure we partner a little bit more on those areas. And as I shared earlier, nutritional counseling is probably the service that's utilized the most by our graduate students. So we did partner with, I think, Graduate School and Bully's Pantry, but just knowing that you have those different types of resources. And I think our biggest turnout for this semester was Healthy Campus Week, where students were able to get free food. We were able to have a small farmers market, just various things like that. So we want to be able to meet the needs on all levels for our students.
And this is kind of a piggyback. Oh, yes, Dr. Henry.
I have a comment. I would just really like to follow up on the last two, Mr. Carroll and Ms. Ezell. I think just being involved, coming by and seeing faces, whether you're coming to the graduate school or coming to any of these organizations, it's just important to be there. And again, commending you for being present. It really matters. You came today and you never know what the question's going to be. I was thinking about Ms. Harris's question, and there's a real periodicity to my job of the certain types of questions that come in. It just depends on what time of year, whether it's about graduation or deadlines, or my professor's being a jerk, or the professor comes in and says, my student's being a jerk. It always, there's certain times of the year that those crop up. But for us, it's just being available to field every one of those questions. I don't think there's a dumb question. I think they always say the only question that's dumb is the one you don't ask. So just by being present and being here and knowing that you could hang out with the GSA and get healthy food or get something answered that you really need answered, whether it's the GSA leadership that's there or the grad students themselves or the grad student leadership, I think there are a lot of people there to answer those questions.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Well, it's kind of a follow-up question to this question, and that is, if there's something you would like, is there something you wish graduate students would know about your unit specifically, or even campus, that you think, wow, this would be such a great resource for graduate students and they might not know about it? Is there something like that that you could share with some of the graduate students?
I can start off with that. One of the things that students do not seem to realize is that in the computer lab, specifically inside the Digital Media Center, we have pretty much every bit of software that is used in classes on campus. And you can come in and use that software for free. All you need to do is sign in with your student ID. And that's so valuable, especially if a laptop crashes or something and you're in the middle of a project. How do I get back to this? Well, you can come in and use one of our computers. There are computers inside our computer lab also that are stacked full of that. And just to know that that's available for them is huge.
I think with the Career Center, it's just graduate students being aware that they can utilize it the same way that undergraduate students utilize it. We have specific, we work with the grad school on specific programs that are targeted towards grad students, but really, like, if you want to meet with a career advisor, you're able to do that. If you want your resume critiqued, you're able to do that, mock interviews. So I just feel like graduate students being able to look at the Career Center the same way undergraduate students look at it, and then being able to utilize it in that same capacity.
I would say we offer free food at almost every single event we do. So that's a big motivation to come. Even if you just come, get the food, say hello and leave. We love to have you and see you.
One thing for the Speaking Center that I'd like to echo here, we are relatively new in terms of a service on campus. So we're still kind of trying to get our finger on the pulse of what workshops or what kind of seminars might want to be offered. So grad students out there, if you have an idea for something that you think would be beneficial for you and a larger group of people, please request that of us. We will take the time to put that together and come and meet with you. We are absolutely, actually, we're busting at the seams to come do some seminars. So please make that request.
I would say for us, we're often confused with the academic side. So there's a food science, nutrition, and health promotion academic department. And oftentimes, and Katie and I was talking about that earlier, with our name, health promotion and wellness, many don't know who we are and what we do. And then, of course, we are on the backside of campus. So if you're not walking in that area, you may not stop by. So definitely kind of coming to visit if you know where we are. We're right across from Bully's Pantry. I think it's very important, but most of our programming in the past has been geared toward undergraduates. And I think in the last 2 years, we've tried to partner more with graduate school and the Graduate Student Association with various projects, but also for graduate students, understanding that your well-being is just important and knowing that we can provide the support that you need throughout your graduate career while you're here. So I think that's very important for you all to know. And then, of course, as services are free, as I shared, graduate assistantships are available. So if you're looking for an assistantship, Health Promotion and Wellness does provide that and will actually be providing. We've actually placed information out, but we will be doing interviews soon. So that is something I would love for our graduate students to know.
Funding is very important to a lot of students.
Yes.
So it's always good to know where to find funding. My next question is for those that hold graduate degrees or are currently in graduate programs. What is something that helped you make the most out of your degree during graduate school?
I would, so I went to graduate school here, and did counselor education with an emphasis in higher education. At that point, that was what the student affairs program was under. It has changed and then recently gone back. So, I can't keep up with what the name is now. But during I think kind of just to echo the opportunity that Santee just talked about, my graduate assistantships probably were one of the most beneficial parts of my grad experience at Mississippi State. I was very fortunate enough to get 2 very different experiences each year I was here. One, I came from a PR background, and so one was very PR driven, and gave me a lot of communication skills. And then my second one was very much like event planning and outreach, for elementary school kids, which was also a experience, but a different layer of it because it was with the College of Engineering. So I just feel like the skills I attained from those 2 experiences while also getting my education was very beneficial. And so I know that graduate assistants on campus can sometimes be hard to locate, especially if you're trying to get college-specific ones, because it seems like there's never like enough to fill everybody who's in every major. But it is an opportunity to really strive for if given, because the experience you get from those really helps your resume for one, and then also helps you build that skill set, both hard and soft skills.
I went to graduate school at Purdue and really an experience that was against my personality. I was going to things, going to things on campus like this, right? and I'm very, very introverted, so I was, they were dragging me there, but I met people that then the next time they needed something, they thought, what about that girl? And so those communications that you meet person to person, at any event that you can only make because you ran into that person and talked to them over the coffee cart or whatever it was, that is going to give you the kinds of experiences that you need to find your job, right? You might get to go to a conference because of that. You might get to go to a meeting or something where you meet more people and get more ideas about what you could do with your degree. And so while it is tempting to go to class and go home, you've got to make yourself go to the professional level things that are going on campus where you can meet people and have them keep you in their minds for the opportunities that come up to them.
I'm gonna jump off the back of that. While professional events are absolutely very important for networking, I started my master's here last August, and I moved from Minnesota. Yes, a Yankee.
Very different.
And I knew not a single person in the entire state of Mississippi prior to moving here. The only person I had ever talked to from the state was my professor, and I had met him twice on a Zoom call. So when I showed up, I knew nobody except for the people I worked with. And the first month here as an extrovert, it was very lonely, not having a lot of social outings. So I made the decision for a free dinner to go to a GSA meeting. And I said, you know what, I don't have to cook, I don't have to pay for a meal, and I'll get to see people outside of work. So I went, and it was the best experience for me. I absolutely loved it, participated with GSA all year, and then decided to run for their officer team. So I think, especially for extroverted, but for everyone, social interaction can really help with your mental health. So grad school can get very isolating if you let it.
I'd like to build off of your mental health comment there, if you don't mind. I went to grad school outside of the state as well. I went to Murray State University. It's a very small school in southwestern Kentucky. But I was a part of that population, and I remember being a grad student, and you mentioned this as soon as you walked in, that there are definitely crushing elements to it where you get overwhelmed with work and you feel stressed out. So it's very important to learn how to manage that stress early on. So you have them telling you to go to workshops, and I would definitely echo that. But I would also say, don't be afraid to go to counseling, even if I'm stressed out about these 15 papers. That's still a legitimate problem, especially if it's affecting your quality of life. So never be afraid to go speak about your problems, even to your professors, but definitely use a counseling service if at all possible.
My graduate experience was slightly different because I went online to Southern Miss while I was working full-time here, going to school full-time there. My dad passed away while I was in graduate school from COVID. So I went through a lot of different times, and just going to the resources and the well-being, it's very important. You have to have that outlet. And in my situation, not having those social groups probably made it a little more difficult, but I'm very thankful that I had good professors and good advisors who were willing to talk to me. So, my advice would be don't be afraid to reach out to people when you are feeling stressed, when you are feeling overwhelmed, because there's always somebody here that's going to be willing to listen and help.
So I got my graduate degree at Delta State. Not sure why I am pursuing a doctoral degree here, but I decided to do that. But I would have to say that I definitely got involved with my major professor and her research team, which allowed me to learn more about what was happening throughout the Mississippi Delta. For the oddest reason, when I graduated from Southern Miss and to the top, one of the things that I said is I wanted to leave Mississippi, and here I am today, still in Mississippi. And one of the things that she shared with me and kind of instilled in us was if you want to make change, sometimes it starts at home. And so oftentimes we want to leave. And so I made the most out of my degree by learning more from her and her research team. Mississippi is at the bottom for a lot of health-related conditions, especially chronic health conditions, maternal health. And so she was the one who kind of instilled in us to leave a place better than you found it. And that kind of led me to utilize most of that work that we done in the Mississippi Delta throughout the state. So I did not think I would be in higher education, but that route was definitely different because I did start in community-based work. And so here I am. So.
That's wonderful. I can echo all your comments. Also, getting my master's here and now getting my PhD. I mean, social interactions are so important. The professional interactions are so important, and never being afraid to ask any questions, because I mean, we all understand what it's like to be a graduate student. So like Dr. Henry said, no question is a stupid question. I think we've all thought the same questions at some point. The next question is a little abstract, but I wanted to know what you think is the biggest challenge graduate students face, and maybe a solution to how they can handle those challenges. Or just advice. Solutions is big.
Good. One of my focuses here in the library is emerging technology and artificial intelligence. I teach a lot of workshops about generative AI inside of programs. And I think that the challenges that are going to be faced by this coming generation with AI and how to incorporate that into, their jobs that they will be taking is one of the biggest challenges that they're going to see. Some people are terrified of it, and some people are ready to embrace it. So you've got people on both sides of the camp. I would say, learn what you can. Don't be afraid of it because you don't understand it or don't know it. There's always going to be somebody that's willing to talk to you and explain it to you. There are ethical considerations that the university as a whole is wrestling with right now. I'm part of those discussions on behalf of the library. We care. Everybody on campus, I think, cares about how this affects the educational outcome of the students on campus. So, don't be afraid to have those conversations, and ask questions about that, because it's in such an early stage right now that we're really all learning from each other.
It's been a few years since I've been in grad school, but I do seem to recall a very important phenomenon hitting me and my cohort. You go from, high school into that undergrad career, and you feel like, okay, we're here, we've made it, but you start to experience a little phenomenon. I like to call it imposter syndrome, right? You've been the smartest in high school. Maybe you were the smartest in your class in high school. Now you've transitioned to an environment where you're sitting in a room full of the smartest kids from high school. And you go to grad school and it just echoes that again. But here's the thing, right? Comparison's the thief of joy. You cannot compare yourself to other people, the other people in your cohort. Yes, there are going to be people that you will meet that are going to be far more intelligent than you, or maybe more talented, but you're not there to compare yourself to them. You're there to be the best that you can be. And that took me a lot longer to realize than I'm care to admit, but it took me a while. And once I stopped comparing myself to the people I was in grad school with, I really opened up and enjoyed the experience a lot more. You're going to have skill deficiencies. Try to do your best to fill those in, but you cannot expect to be as good as whomever is in your cohort. That's just not going to work that way. Be the best that you can be.
At one of those events I was talking about a minute ago, I had someone say to me about my thesis, "You're not done yet?" And I about passed out. I was like, am I supposed to be done? Was it? And it was very upsetting. And so, I was comparing myself to someone who hadn't even written a thesis, and I was worried about the timing, and it was very, very stressful. And I went to my thesis director, and told him, and he said, look at me. I'm the only one who matters. Nobody else matters. And that was so comforting, right? So rather than kind of take a mental dive off a cliff, which I was really tempted to do, I went and talked to somebody to get recentered and really understand what was important and what wasn't. And that was very grounding and supportive. Don't let anybody tell you that a thesis or a dissertation is easy. It is not. And, and, but also don't let anybody give you any kind of shade about it, because you can do it and there are people here to help you.
I'll talk a little bit about this in terms of like career preparation, right? And we don't see this just with graduate students, we see it with undergraduate students too, but the lack of experience that students have by the time they go to get a job, and trying to inform students how important it is to get experiential learning throughout their college career is just a constant kind of thing on my mind, at least. We've had students that come who, and granted, most of these were probably undergrad students, but who have nothing on their resume. And so when you're trying to fill up a piece of paper to be considered for a job when you graduate, all I can tell you is, even if it's not a full, a part-time job or an assistantship, even if you find time to volunteer with the professor that you like the subject of, or volunteer in the community, like just somewhere where you're picking up experiences that you can say that you've learned skills from, is important throughout college, both undergrad and graduate. And so I feel like, again, this isn't really directed right at graduate students, but there are still some disconnects there of students who are coming, and yes, academics are 100% important. So if you don't feel like you can manage an actual job, find those other experiences that will give you something to put on your resume when you go to graduate. Find the research opportunities, find the presentation opportunities, in order to be able to fill your piece of paper at the end of it.
I don't know about other graduate students. My biggest challenge is time management. And it's not so much that I forget to do things. It's that I usually like to do more than daylight hours allow me to. So we've talked about classes. Writing a thesis is really difficult. You need to attend professional events. You need to attend social events. You've got workshops at the library. You want to learn a new skill. Now we need a part-time job in volunteering. I mean, eventually you get to the point. And your professor comes to you with another side project to work on. You're still working on your thesis research. So eventually it gets to a point where you put it on a calendar and realize there's only 24 hours in the day and something needs to be cut. And prioritizing what you're doing is really important. All of these things are absolutely wonderful to gain skills, to network, to put on your resume. But most importantly, you are here to finish your classes, write your thesis or dissertation, and graduate. I think that should be your first priority. And then after that, you need to learn how to set your own priorities. And that may take a moment to sit down one weekend, list out everything you want to do in your graduate school experience, and figure out what is feasible. As for other challenges graduate students are facing, we do host a town hall through the GSA, where any graduate student can meet with their department representative and put forward a problem that they have with campus, administration, their department, Starkville, any problem that they might be having, bring it to our town hall. And if the GSA has any ability to advocate or solve that problem, we will. Some things are out of our control. I know last year parking got brought up once, if not 100 times. While we can go and advocate for more parking with administration, we don't actually control parking itself. But we are happy to listen to any concerns from graduate students and bring those to the appropriate authorities.
So to piggyback off of that, so time management was one of mine, but also work-life balance. And so what we're finding out, especially with not only undergraduate students, but graduate students, many of them are working more than one job. And so making sure they're financially secure is something that we talked about as well. But that's something that we've learned in most of the graduate students that we do get to meet. Some of them have families, and so they're balancing a lot. So for us and what we try to look at, I asked my team this morning, when is the last time you said no or not right now? And many of them could not say that. Also, I said, what could you say no or not right now to this month? And they made a list of things. And so to piggyback off that time management piece, what our office tried to do is model what is work-life balance, even for our graduate students in our office. But we find out that they are in a rush. They are comparing their journey and they want to be finished and done. And then also there comes the last semester of worry of where will I find a job? So it's just, I think it's more so of understanding their journey. And if you don't understand that, that can be a true challenge. And with the work-life balance, what does that look like for you? Are you getting enough sleep? Did you eat today? Did you go to class? Did you socialize? How did that look like? And so oftentimes they try to put, and I've done this to myself as well with the time management piece, but they put a timestamp on everything. And I think with graduate students, they cannot compare their journey and also kind of understand what's working for them may not be working for the next person. And so that's something we began to talk about within our office. And we've made some adjustments to our current program and presentations. This is the first month we haven't had something on the calendar back to back, just so they can get some relief, including our undergraduate students and our staff, just to take time for themselves as well.
It's great. So many great advice for students here and online. I will ask the audience for some questions and I will reiterate them into the microphone and I will let the panel answer. And while you're doing that, I will rush to the PC and see if anybody online has any questions. But I see one of our people here has a question.
Building that network for faculty together, so you got a problem, I got a problem. I have a question, maybe at the Riley Center, the Career Center, being your second year of HEC now, what does that look like coming from trying to get your resume, switch over to a CV? Are there opportunities to keep one? Maybe ask a question that you in a visual session. I know you said a couple of edits and things like that. My resume is not going to take it in a while, that's a problem, but here now. But it's one of those things that as I'm moving forward in higher education program, my resume is, I don't even know looking at it, right? So don't even know where to start. Then do I switch over to the seats that are served and the resume, what do I take off? So a lot of little questions, but any advice that like not necessarily graduate students, but even as we're transitioning from the doctoral things.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate the question real fast. The question is about transitioning or changing a resume during graduate school from a resume to a CV. What's the best practice for that? And maybe tools and tips on how to accomplish that to actually meet your educational career and then transition to their career.
So first off, I have a presentation about that, so I can send it to you. But basically, we have best practices for what a resume should look like compared to what information and best practices a CV should have, right? And kind of what content should be on both. My suggestion to you would technically be to continue to update both, because depending on what type of position you're applying for in the future, if it's an academic setting, you can use your CV. If it's more of a student affairs setting, you could use either. You know what I'm saying? So I think it really depends on your job search and what position specifically you're looking for. But it wouldn't be a bad practice to have a 2-page concise resume and then a CV that has all of your information. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of some of the information we gave students too, because it really does depend on the position that you're applying for. And it's better prepared, especially if you're going into educational leadership, I'm assuming with like student affairs sort of mindset, you know? Yeah. Okay, there you go. But, not a bad idea. But I would think that it would really depend on the job, because if the job is more academic, then you would want to do a CV. But if the job is more administration, it would be a resume. Kind of depending, you know, if it's an academic administration, then you would probably want to do a CV. But like in most of the positions I've seen, administration wise, it would have been a resume. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have both.
PC questions. I also made a comment saying if there are any questions that come up, you can email me directly and I will forward your question to the panel member who could answer that. So yes, what's your question?
Question, actually, it's small. This one is for you in particular. Any campus, are there campus courses? Because I kind of take classes from, I'm kind of work with both campuses, both Meridian and South. And do you have any specific resources to help? I'm training for you for the mental health people. So is there anything you want to do?
Absolutely. So we do, while we focus on prevention, we have some intervention pieces and recovery support. We are connected to the student counseling services and Longest Student Health Center. But I think when it comes to mental health, kind of understanding what you want to do in that field is going to be very important. So we do have Kim Kowalski, who serves as our assistant director, and she kind of leads the mental health prevention efforts. But then on the other side with student counseling services, they have workshops that you can be involved in, but also they have ways that you can learn more about what they do. In addition to that, we do partner with the Department of Psychology for various things, and we do utilize graduate students as we did last month for a checkup from the neck up. So being engaged in our mental health outreach is very important. One of the things that we've talked about within the Division of Student Affairs is taking what we do and placing it on Meridian's campus. I don't know who's going to lead those efforts, but one of the things that we are doing is trying to make sure they have the same resources. And one thing that we did in a virtual space is, you know, providing workshops, and we've also provided those types of resources. So I think for us, we want to hear from you and let us know how we can best serve you. But I think when it comes to mental health, I've been in prevention and peer education for the longest. In mental health, if you're going to stay in the state of Mississippi, I think tapping into what other campuses are doing would be very important. What does mental health outreach look like? But also, what does mental health advocacy and counseling and therapy look like on campuses? And then I know that the counseling center itself has different spaces you can be a part of that is not specifically counseling based, but more so of their groups that anybody can attend. You're welcome.
Something for you in particular, because I'm a some certification major. Sure, I have a different concentration, but the program overall, would you have any advice for me?
Not, I mean, take any classes that you can with Cheryl Justice would be my like first. Would be my first piece of advice, but that's just because I love her. But really, I probably wouldn't, mainly because when I took counseling classes, I only had to take 3 for my program. So I just had to take the basis level. I took counseling theory, one-on-one counseling, and then group counseling. And so I have a counseling foundation, but not as detailed or evolved as yours would be, because the rest of mine were higher education focused courses.
Possibly theory with saying that should be a very for you in particular, do you have any club reviews that out? I won't be able to attend the meetings. I have Thursday classes at the time.
Yes, so the department representative for your department, I'm not sure who it is off the top of my head. They should be sending out emails to all graduate students within their own department. That is how the GSA tends to distribute information. Otherwise, you can email GSA at mississippistate.edu or grad.
Grad at msstate.edu.
Perfect. grad@msstate.edu. And we will get back to you. Otherwise, usually the best way to find information that you would normally get at our meetings if you can't attend is on Cowbell Connect and our social medias, X, Twitter, Instagram. LinkedIn, we more so just post achievements done by graduate students, but the other two, we post all of our events that we have coming up. So if you can follow us on Instagram, X, or Cowbell Connect, you'll see when all of our upcoming events will be.
And that includes town halls, right?
No, I don't think that will be posted on any of those. So that one, we get responses. We ask the department representatives to go to their department and collect responses from all their graduate students. And then the department representatives come to the town hall and bring those forward to the executive committee. We do that partly for grad student and anonymity. And anonymity.
There you go.
There we go. Because if you do have an issue that's serious and concerning, but you don't want to put your name on it, then your department representative can present it for you and not say that it was your issue.
And this is the last question I have along. Is this general, do you offer any proper resources when it comes to interviewing people? Like not getting an interview, but interviewing other people in general?
So you'd be talking about you conducting an interview with someone? I mean, yes, the Speaking Center could help you out with that. Questions to ask, specifically delivery methods. We can help. I mean, we haven't done that for sure yet. I don't think we've helped someone on the actual interviewing side. We've helped people prep for an interview, but I'm sure it's something, if we do a little bit of research, we could definitely help you with. Sure.
Well, we might have time for one more question if there's any more questions. I always love ending a meeting a little bit early because we do have some coffee and some cookies here. But is there any other questions? Is there anything else any one of you would like to talk about, just the kind of closing remarks or closing thoughts?
I have to spend a moment, if I may, advocating for all the wonderful things that you could find here in the library. You know, the biggest resources are not the books, it's the people that are in the building, right? Every single one of the grad students have subject specialists that are trained to work with them in their specific field and to help them with their research. You know, so I would encourage every single one of you to find out who that subject specialist is, excuse me, and reach out to them. You know, that's part of their job. They love to help you conduct research and to teach you how to do it correctly. We offer extensive citation workshops throughout the year. The Office of Thesis and Dissertations offers workshops throughout the year. We have some new facilities here inside the library. I'd also like to just share. We have what we call the Learn and Burn room, which is provided by the Student Government Association. And we have what they call study mills, right? So they're big treadmills with basically a built-in desk, so you can do your homework or listen to a podcast or watch a video on class while you're working on your your steps, getting your steps in for the day. The Learn and Burn also has weights and bands. It's a full little workout room. If you, especially the graduate mothers, there's a lactation room upstairs, which affords privacy for that. We also have a prayer and meditation room that is available. And our newest addition this semester is a sensory room. So it's a place where you could just go in and get away from things when you're feeling overwhelmed. So, you know, we're very proud of that, and we're doing that because we care about the students, you know, and want them to have all of those resources while they're in our building. So.
All right. Well, the wonderful panel also brought some resources, so feel free to grab some of the resources they brought. If anybody online would like some resources, just send me an email and I'd be glad to get them to you as well. And with that, I really would like to thank each and every one of you for coming, to talking on your units, to sharing resources, and to help supporting our graduate students on campus, especially those who are first generation, first in their family to do this awesome thing. So we definitely want to help anybody as much as we can. And with that, I will end this panel. Thank you so much for coming.